Hey guys, welcome back to Day-to-Day Chess, to the plan of the week 14th to the 20th of December. It seems that my New Year resolution has to be how to stay on track with my plannings, regardless on what's going on in my life. So, unless I can do it, I should not plan it, I guess, or something like that. But anyways, I really hope you enjoyed this week, and I tried as much as possible to stay on track. I missed 2 days and I'm going to have some makeover for those 2 days, let's say. For the moment, it's the season up Sunday, so I really hope you're going to enjoy the position that I chose for you guys today. If you haven't checked my week just yet, be sure to check some of these amazing games. On the 14th of December, I posted Magnus Carlsen's last win in the London Chess Classic against Alexander Grishuk, a really nice game. Later on the 15th, Mikhail Botvinnik's win against Andor Lilienthal. And if you really want to see some Anaconda style type of game, be sure to check Tigran Petrosyan's win against Anatoly Banik. On the 17th, there was a really nice attacking game, and you could see Alexei Drev beating slightly weaker player than he is, Leon Oquendo Jorge, but I think it was a really nice game, definitely worth watching. So those were my main things for the week, and of course a little stumble here, but it's going to be posted very soon. Don't forget to check out my day-to-day cooking of a grandmaster website, where you can find a mix between chess and cooking, and I've prepared some very new interesting recipes that I'm sure some of you might enjoy making them, specifically as the holidays are approaching. Okay, so let's see what I have prepared for you for the season up your Sunday. And here it is. I've prepared an Endgame Study by van der Heijden, published in the British Chess Magazine in 2007, and I really hope I got the right year. My mom helped me find this position, and I was so excited about it that I was trying to figure out the exact time and date that it was published, but I might not have gotten it wrong. But I might not have gotten it right, I apologize. But that's not the point of this. The point is to really enjoy this beautiful position and try to solve it, of course. So, are you guys ready to season up your Sunday? I really hope you are. This is the position. You have the position from Black's perspective, but it is white to move. So I guess I could flip the board if you guys prefer to have it from White's perspective. These pawns are coming towards you, and so White to move. Can you guys try to find the win in this position? Whether you want to watch it, the position with white from White's perspective or Black's perspective, it's just up to you, of course. I solved it this way, so I'm going to leave it this way for the end of the video. Okay, good. By now you should have paused the video and made sure that you solved the position before checking out the solution. If you haven't done so yet, you have a couple more seconds to do so, because I'm about to show this beautiful position. Alrighty, so we notice that Black's really close to promoting this H-pawn. He also has, technically 4 pawns for the bishop. It doesn't seem like White can do much, yet we notice this king in H2 is really trapped. So if White is careful enough, would probably be able to set up some really nice trap to make sure that king is going to be mated. But you have to be very careful, because there's just one move that might do that. Not all of the moves work. So for example, if you're thinking of playing, since this is a square that the king wants to escape on, right? If you might think of playing bishop e1, for example, to stop Black from exiting and saying that, well, what is he going to do now? Like, for example, king g1 makes no sense, because after king f3, the king went himself on a mating pattern. Let's say Black would push e4 check maybe, and we can just go king g3. We don't want any extra pawns. What we are playing against is this black king in trying to mate it. So of course our next couple of moves would be bishop f2 and check. So black cannot escape with the rook. The only possible move here would be king f1, but after bishop f2 it seems that black is going to be losing this. After rook a1 check, he is going to be losing the rook. So something like this would be great for white, but after bishop e1, black is not going to play that move. There's really no point to do so. And notice how many pawns, I mentioned it once or twice, how many pawns black has in this position. So he can just go rook takes e1, and after king takes, king g1, and go with the pawn for the queen. And in order for white to make a draw in this position, probably white would have to play maybe king e2 or rook a1, maybe not rook a1, I guess would make a draw too, or rook a8, something in those areas. Let's say rook a8, and now black should be careful and not play h2, because after h2 he's going to get mated once again. Now king f2, and notice how the king got stuck in the corner. My next moves are gonna be rook a8 and mate. So or rook g3, depending. If you're pushing this pawn, for example, we really don't want to allow black to play e3 check, takes, and king g2 to escape with the king. So that's why we're not gonna play rook a8, but we will be playing rook g3 and then mate black this way. So black has to be really careful here after rook a8. So that's why h2 is not the correct answer, but king g2. So he's going to maintain the opportunity of moving around this pawn. And if rook g8 check, we are not getting in the corner. Very important to remember. We are going king f3, and white has no way to really stop that pawn, both with the king and the rook. Let's say he plays king f1, thinking that after h2 white would play rook h8 and the pawn is trapped. Indeed, it is trapped, cannot push anymore. But after king g3, white is stuck, cannot really move the rook away from the h file, and if they move the king after king g2, black is going to have the opportunity of, you know, promoting, or you have to give me lots of checks in the back. So this position would be a draw. So going back to the start, bishop e1 is not a good approach to try to struggle, not to struggle, but like capture this this king in h2. So we need to find another possibility, and the correct move in this position is, hopefully you saw it by now, bishop f4 check. Indeed, we are giving our bishop for free, right? It's not really for free because we are going to mate, but we are just giving away our bishop in order to make sure this king is going to remain trapped. And here black has a couple of possibilities. Capturing the bishop would be an obvious one. King g2 is another opportunity for black. And then, of course, king g1. So let's take them one by one. After king g1 in this position, white is going to capture the pawn in e5. Let's say you're trying to escape with your rook, because either king g2 or escaping with your rook. These are the two possibilities that black has in this position. If you try escaping with your rook, well, here it's not the same thing as before, because capture, king f2, and black already lost a pawn and he's trapped there in the mating pattern. And even if he's going to push their pawns, rook c2 for example, this pawn is going to be captured. You can push again, but it's not going very far, and you have only king h1, king h2. This pawn is going to be captured. Of course, if black plays h2, little mate, and if black plays king h1 before, and if he plays king h2, we have this very cool idea. We're just hanging on the third rank. You have to go king h1, and the mate is coming. So a very nice typical idea in this position. Okay, so we checked those moves. Those don't work. Rook h2 doesn't work in this position. So let's check king g2. After king g2, you're trying to escape with your rook to be able to push the pawn and promote. So definitely we should not let you escape. King e3 check. Black goes king g1 or king f1. Let's say king f1. And now a really good move by white, bishop to f4. And I think you know how the mate is going to happen. Let's say you're trying to escape with your rook. King f3. This is my mate. And there's no way for black to stop it. So king g1, we fixed it. There's no possibility for black to go there. Let's check king g2. If black plays king g2 in this position, we've got king e3 check once again. So we are really focusing on not allowing this king getting out on the third rank. We really want to push it towards the first rank so that we have this mating pattern mate on the first rank. So king f1 in this position, let's say, we've got the same thing, just that now we can consider e4 check maybe, but there's nothing to worry about. It's just another pawn that we are going to bring to our when I was a kid, my father used to say to our stomach, you know, we're eating something else, some more material of our opponent, just taking that pawn very nicely. And unfortunately for black, there's no way to escape here. Next move is going to be back to f3 and the mate threat. Good, so now let's check out, after bishop f4 check, let's just look at pawn takes, because there's no point in letting white having an extra piece after all, right? I mean, it's an extra piece with which white can keep us on the first rank and make sure we're going to get mated. So we are taking the pawn with black. Good. King f3 check. Only one move. What do we do now? Because obviously we have perpetual check if we want to, but we are going to try to do more because this king is stuck, right, on a mating idea. And so is the rook. So basically, although black has 4 pawns up, he technically plays without a rook. Rook h2 will never be possible because rook a1 mate, okay? So in this position, we just need to wait until black is going to start pushing these pawns. We are going to get rid of these 2 pawns, and then eventually they will have to either play rook h2, pawn h2, or king f1, and they are going to be mated. This is basically the beauty of this position, I thought, so that is the reason why I decided to share it with you. So in this position, white has 2 possibilities, playing rook b2 or playing rook c2. Let's see rook b2 first and see what's going on. Let's say black is just pushing the pawns very slowly. No worries, rook c2. Okay, you want to take this pawn? I'm not going to give it to you. I will be playing c5. Yes, you play c5, rook b2. There's no way for black to actually keep these pawns anymore. If b5 is played, simply rook takes b5. And let's not forget, anytime you go back, check, and now rook c2. So we're going to win this pawn and do the same, and poor black is going to be in Zugzwang. So let's go back to this main line. c4, little pawn is not good to be taken. Why is this position not good? Why is this move a blunder for white? Because c3. And now if we play rook c6, black is going to be winning because notice we don't have the rook that can go back to checkmate. So black would play rook here, after which a little check and promote that pawn. So be very, very careful with this line. After c3, white would have to go rook e6 to try to checkmate, right? But black goes king f1, and if we go rook a6, black manages to escape. Check, capture, c2. And black manages to make a draw here. Now, why did we have to play rook e6 and why can't we just play rook a6, you will ask? You can, but after rook a6, c2 is going to be played. We needed the rook here to be able to give checks in case black would want to escape in h2. Now with the rook in a6, we can't give those checks on the second rank anymore. And after check, king h2, white finds himself in a position where he is supposed to resign, because here, check. And let's just say black has so many ways to win this position, whether king g1 to threaten the queen, and when you take, just push the pawn. So you have to be very, very careful. Rook takes b6 is a blunder, so we can't just take the pawns the way we want to. In this position, white has to find a really good move. Well, they have two, but rook a2 is one of them. And then black has, again, two possibilities, c3 or b5. Let's take them one by one. First b5, we go rook c2. We really want to stay in front of the pawn that we can actually capture. And now, when black is going to play b4, now we can actually capture the pawn, because when b3 is being played, we can go rook d4, b2, check. And you see the rook now was able to be on the d file. In the previous line that I showed you, the rook was on the e file, which allowed black to play king f1 here in this position. But now with the rook in d4, white can give this, this mate, basically. So that's why black has to play b2, check, check, rook takes here. And no matter what move black is going to play, the mate is coming to b1. So going back to the position that I told you, that after rook c2, black can also play c3, but we're not worried about this move, right? Because we just take it, push b4, we go back to c2, b3, rook b2. And the last thing that has to be mentioned, after rook a2, if black were to just push the c pawn, again, rook c2, and whenever you push b5, your pawn is too far away. I'm just taking in c3. Let's say b4, rook c2 once again, and white is winning. So this was a possibility, but exactly the same thing would happen if white would be playing after king g1, rook c2. So you just need to be very careful how you're winning those pawns. After rook c2, how is the line going? Well, simply c6 here, rook b2 attacking the pawn. You're going to push it, not to give it away. Now we're playing rook c2, attacking this other pawn. Let's not forget, black can never push h2 or come with the rook to h2 because there's mate. King f1 would have the same mate. And after b4, we're simply capturing the pawn. And b3, and we have to make a good move, and we really cannot go to anywhere else besides d6. And I hope you understand now why this square is so important, because now we don't allow black to play king f1 because of rook d1 mate, which is something that we would allow if we would have played rook e6. And after b2, we have to find this little check, then one other little check, and after king g1, capturing the pawn, followed by mate in b1. This was the study of the day. I really hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more information of what's going to happen tomorrow, and hopefully you will be checking the other YouTube videos to be posted shortly. Thank you. Have a wonderful week. Bye.